This is 3D in Review, where we talk about the latest in all 3D news, as well as interviews, tutorials, and the latest projects from the tech closet. If this is your first time listening, please make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or YouTube.
Hey everybody, hi, this is Mike Balzer from All Things 3D in Review for the first of 2023, and actually it's our 10th year here on the air, YouTube as well as podcasting, so we're going to go ahead and try and do both now. Of course, if you want to see all the visuals, head out to the YouTube channel, but we're going to try at least provide some descriptions of what we're doing here. But we're going to start off with Vikas Reddy. He's got something interesting that he's been working on the last couple of years, and I'll go ahead and bring him in on the inset. Hey, Vikas, how are you today?
Hey, good to see you, Michael.
Oh, thank you. So before we get started with the interview, we tried to do this a couple of days ago, but you had some interrupts in your broadband connection. But I also think that you had some bad weather out there, which seems to be going all over the country. Was that true, or was it something else?
Yeah, it was a combination of unfortunate events. But yeah, basically lost internet for a few days, and then we've had a couple days too. So it's been a crazy couple of days here. And then of course I've got a perpetual storm with 2 kids under 5. So that's been fun too.
Well, I no longer have any human versions of children, but I have kitties and dogs, and they're perpetual 3 or 4 year olds. So at least yours will grow up and be able to help you. I can't say the same. Okay, well, let's get started here, Vikas. Where are you at? What have you been doing with your life?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, so the last, I guess I'll give a little bit of a background on what I've been working on. So, I left my previous startup that I co-founded with my friend Jeff Powers, Occipital, back in early 2020. I was looking for, I was going to take a couple of years off, but then ended up, was going to take some time off to go just travel and just do some fun stuff with the family. And then this whole pandemic thing happened, and that put a damper on our travel plans, and then ended up just kind of being trapped in my crappy storage room office, and was just kind of prototyping some ideas. I ended up actually applying to Y Combinator with just a couple ideas, out some new ideas for a new company to work on. And one of the cooler things that happened during that time was built maybe 6 or 7 different prototypes of various ideas, like some, mostly of computer vision, spatial computing. And a friend of mine actually kind of pointed me over after seeing one of my demos to this whole space of virtual production. So this idea of, and I should say a broad term, but specifically pointed me to the work they had done that Industrial Light and Magic and Lucasfilm and Disney did on The Mandalorian. And so I had watched that show. It's an awesome show on the Disney Channel, or just streaming on Disney, I should say, Disney Plus, I suppose. And watched the show, but I never knew that they used this incredible new weighing. And so what I just started digging in and learned that they built this 10,000 square foot, essentially LED wall, kind of like a 360-degree LED wall that surrounded the stage. They were essentially doing rendering in real time the whole set, or the whole backdrop of all the various scenes, having the camera motion essentially control the vantage point of all those renderings, and using Unreal Engine for doing all the heavy sort of lift on the rendering side. And so was just digging into that, and was kind of mind blown at the results they'd gotten, and just started thinking about okay, given that's amazing, is there a way to bring this to more everyday creators and creatives? And that's
a good point.
That's where we started with LightTwist.
Yeah, the Unreal Engine. Obviously, you'll tell us more about how that fits in with your project, but Yeah, I've also followed it. In fact, I think I had it described it, or at least had some video uh, from The Mandalorian, as well as other things that are now using it. There's quite a few projects out there, but you're right. In fact, I think even Portland, there's somebody who is trying to create that kind of a backdrop. But as you mentioned, it has,
Yeah.
you can either use rear projection, or in these cases, these large, huge, either LCD or LED based screens, and then you have to have this multiplexer. So it's a very costly. So unless you've got some deep pockets, um, yeah, that would be a good point. Which is one of the reasons you caught my attention, is that you look like you were trying to do something similar. All right, I'll get back to letting you talk now.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good background. And yeah, I think, so, what we're working on with LightTwist is essentially powering, creatives to have a virtual studio in the cloud. Essentially, that's limited. Our goal is to make it where it's limited only by your imagination. So think of it as is looks like can look like a physical set. It can look like really any number of things. It's actually rendered using Unreal Engine 5.1 right now, and with just you can actually capture. You can stream yourself. You can record video of yourself. You can have guests. In fact, at some point, Mike, we should have you on the show, on the LightTwist show, using LightTwist. But yeah, the idea is we wanted to make it. So you need to have a really powerful PC locally, remove the need to figure out all the sort of munging with 3D software and Unreal Engine itself, which can be a little bit finicky. It's super powerful and has all the things you would want in it, but accessing those things is can be tricky. And then and really rolling in some of the computer vision as well. So it's streamlining all of that into a cloud app, and so you're able to capture the webcam or an iPhone, stream yourself into actually composite yourself into this virtual studio, have different camera angles. You can have pretty much anything happen in the studio that can happen in the game. You want an explosion, you want a alien to jump out and run around the studio, like a studio set. That's all possible. But our vision is in the next over the next 10 years, if we're successful, really you'll be able to create all kinds of new content in these virtual studios. Everything from unscripted sort of live TV shows, game shows, all the way into more scripted creative content. So content for children, you're creating scripted episodes. And we've even thought about different input mechanisms. So not just using real world video that's getting composited in, but potentially controlling an avatar, or even using VR, a VR headset as an input. So really our goal is just if we can, our hypothesis, the team's hypothesis around LightTwist is, if we can enable this whole field of virtual production, or at least a subset of it, to be accessible, both just more easy to use from a UX perspective, but also from a cost and perspective, bring to just everyday people. We think we can unlock more people to create lots of different kinds of content. So right now, YouTube is heavily dominated by a certain type of video, which is people capturing themselves, I'd say, for an audience. But there's certain limitations that you'll see of what people are able to do there. And I just see that changing over time, where I think if we're successful, and we're not the only ones in this whole space, of course, but if we can do what we're hoping to do, then we'll start to see an explosion of different kinds of stories and education and ideas that are able to be shared using Twist as that initial content. So that's what we're working on. We're a super small team, just 3 of us full time, and a couple part-time people as well. And really just cranking away in private alpha stage, but working hard to get this product into a private beta.
Well, I'd have to agree that from what I've seen, it's unique, and hopefully we'll get a little demo here in a minute. But let's
Yeah,
kind of go back to what brought you into this. You did mention that you co-founded a company called Occipital with your friend
yeah,
Jeff Powers, who obviously, as you
yeah,
remember, I go way back as well. And
yeah.
with that being said, um, what was it about Occipital that I think lended its skills or the knowledge to move forward with LightTwist? Is there a similarity? Is there some
Yeah.
kind of what do you want to call it? Transfusion of knowledge?
Started when I started Occipital with Jeff, definitely didn't know much about computer vision, and but that's I'd say like there's two big buckets. I'd say that there's some technical knowledge that's been incredibly helpful to even spot the opportunity that I think LightTwist embodies, which is this idea of leveraging some of the latest advancements in computer vision to bring this whole virtual production technology to a lower, a much more accessible like UX price point, just logistically easier. And so I would say that's one big bucket. So understanding like what's possible with computer vision, kind of being able to chart the trends of it and seeing how things might progress over the next couple of years has been super helpful. There's a lot of knowledge around just 3D, even just frankly, just like even like seemingly like esoteric stuff like how do you compose 3D rotation matrices, which is like a really annoying problem in computer vision and graphics, 3D graphics. There's a lot of sort of nuances of problems like that. And so I think that's one big aspect is just understanding the technology space, knowing what's possible, knowing what's easy, knowing what's hard, knowing what's solved already, what's not solved. And the other part of the day, network and just general sort of knowledge and learning from mistakes. So like on the network side, just kind of like knowing, having done Occipital and, having a success before that with Red Laser, where that ended up getting acquired by eBay, like, from a network perspective, I was able to, have an easier time doing things like getting into Y Combinator and then raising money as a, third time founder. So there's certain things like that that become easier when you've had some past experience and success in this whole startup ecosystem. So that was helpful for LightTwist. But then I would say the last book is really just like there's a lot of mistakes that I made in the past and lessons and just sort of even just like experience of like managing highly technical teams working on risky problem space that I've been able to apply to LightTwist. And some of it's just stuff that I was like, hey, here's some stuff I did before that I won't make that mistake again. And other stuff is just like, okay, here's what worked, here's what didn't work in terms of trying to rally a small team around a pretty ambitious goal. And so those are all things that are those are been like super invaluable for LightTwist.
That's great to hear. I'm trying to bring back up my notes here. So
Yeah, no worries.
it fell asleep. So yeah, that's very interesting, and obviously your experience with Occipital, as you said, working with the technical team probably helps a lot. So from a perspective of, and we're going to get into obviously the demo here shortly, there's a couple of other applications out there that are notable. OBS Studio, which is an open source multi-streaming platform that a lot of people use. And then obviously NVIDIA has kind of jumped in it with their broadcast app that takes advantage of the GPU. What does LightTwist offer that these don't, and how do you see in competing with them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily see, a good friend of mine, Matt Wiesnix, who's a founder of 60.ai and now founder of a new company, told me like, he had a good phrase, which is like you compete on like customer base. It's like not just the technology, but almost more so your competitors are defined by like the customers you're going after. And so I don't think, honestly, I don't think of those as really competitors, and this is sort of a large like sort of like market and sort of growing as well. And so I haven't honestly thought a lot about competition, but I'd say like what's different about what we're focusing on is really this idea of a full 3D virtual studio that is able to, so if you sort of compare to OBS, it's a very powerful piece of software and it has a lot of settings, but depending on what you're trying to do, it may be, it's not necessarily the most accessible from from an end user perspective. There's just a lot of settings there. And secondly, it's less made for things, for what we're going after, which is we're trying to build the sort of virtual analogy to like a physical video studio. And so things like, being able to control various camera angles in the 3D space, things like being able to, have various game-like things and animations, happen in the studio. All these things aren't things that are necessarily built into something like OBS. And the other aspect that's kind of interesting too is we built LightTwist from the beginning to be collaborative and cloud-based. And so there's some, there's trade-offs there, but some of the advantages are all the things that you do to set up the studio are shared across all of the people sort of interacting there. So not only can you, set up the studio and like run it yourself, but you could even have a person that's remotely controlling various cameras from, across the world and jumping between different camera angles, triggering various things to happen in the studio. And lastly, of course, like it removes the need for the powerful GPU machine to be sitting inside of your space. And even if you have the dollars to spend and to do that, it can, it takes a lot of technical know-how and setup time to actually set something like that up very nicely. Make sure you've got the audio settings right. Make sure you've got all the, the data flowing in all the different ways that make sense. And so, and secondly, there's also the portability. So right now, like for example, my office is currently, hopefully there's not too much background noise here. There, I'm having a humidifier installed in my actual usual office space. But I'm able to just, jump up here and actually be, I could run LightTwist from this location as well, which is just my bedroom. So, the portability is another factor as well. So yeah, those are some of the aspects, and really like we're trying to make this a ecosystem where it's going to be easy to adapt various ideas into this virtual studio. So I'm super interested in things like controlling avatars, like some of the latest work like generative AI and even like neural rendering. Because we've got this powerful GPU server on the running in the cloud, and we're able to sort of do some of the work up front of engineering and integration. So kind of, making it so our users don't have to deal with that stuff. We can set up some pretty awesome experiences that just work out of the box. And so those are some things I'm excited about.
Well, how about we jump into a demo?
Yeah. Let's do it.
I've obviously had a chance to play with it a little bit, and you had it actually up and running in our last demo that failed to record our audio, and was really excited about it. And you did make a point, though, when you were talking about this, on how this runs in the cloud. So that makes it unique, where OBS, the NVIDIA, you have to have the hardware in wherever you're located at. This doesn't run like that. Is that correct? How about I join you on your stage?
Yeah.
All right, here I go. Hang on a second. Here I come.
All right. Hey, welcome.
Wow, man, that was, well, at least the seats are kind of comfortable. Hey there.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us in the LightTwist studio here. Let me
no
actually
problem.
go and let's show the audience like a little bit of a wider shot here, so you can see this whole nice space around us.
It's spacious. Wow.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. It's It's been fun doing this interview, and it's great to have you in the LightTwist studio for a couple minutes here.
Oh, I, yeah, I wish I had it. Oh, look at that! It's a kitty down there. Hi.
Yeah.
What's the name?
So that kitten, I don't know if we actually named it. I'll have to check with my co-host on the LightTwist show, Phil Nelson. But yeah, we have
Yeah, I know
yet to name that
Phil.
cat. Yeah,
I've
you might
interviewed
remember
with
him
him
from
a
such
couple of
things
times.
as yeah, you might remember him from such things as Occipital, and yeah, he's
I
doing some
do.
awesome virtual production work with us as well here at
Mm.
LightTwist. So
Mm.
yeah, but yeah, welcome to the studio. Just want to show you around, and yeah, we'll do a couple.
Okay.
Let me actually do a couple things here. So we'll show the audience.
Okay.
So yeah, one cool thing, able to switch between these different camera angles. Like you'll see that we're both using. We actually just added this green screen feature. We actually have two modes of segmentation. One is removing your using green screen, and one is using just deep learning, just straight up background segmentation without any special hardware. And then yeah, here I'm just going to jump between a couple
Oh,
different camera.
that's a shiny surface that you have here.
Yeah.
Wow. How did you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly. We got some real time reflections here on the surface. So yeah, you can see it down here, which is what Mike's referencing here. And yeah, that's what we got there. And then I'll do a little let's do a little intro sequence here too, so you can kind of see our
Okay.
usual
Am I going to
intro
get sick
sequence.
or anything?
You might actually get yeah, let's see what happens here when we play this little intro sequence. But you might actually come down on a little space elevator here.
Oh, I'm getting
There we go.
warm.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like another way that people come into the studio sometimes. So
How
just wanted to
fun.
welcome you this way as well.
I don't think all my atoms came. I think you
Yeah,
left some.
yeah, I think that's true. But yeah, I mean, welcome. Yeah, just wanted to show you around, and then yeah, well, let's see, what else do we want to talk about while we're here. I think
Well, let's talk about some specifications. What are we looking at?
yeah,
How are you doing this? I think is really important.
yeah. Let me actually go to a different camera here. Sorry, I had this. Here we go. Let's go to a.
Now, is that a
There we
real
go.
radio on your desk, or is that
Yeah,
just
it's actually like a
3D
little
model?
yeah, a little radio we added there. It's yeah, it's been yeah,
But
like
it's a
really,
3D model, right?
yeah, exactly. That's a little 3D model of a radio there. This whole desk that's in front of us is the 3D model as well. And yeah, and I should say, there's a lot of the credit for the rendering here goes to Unreal Engine. So we're actually using Unreal Engine 5.1 right now for rendering. And so what we're doing is we've got this studio that's actually running on a cloud computer with a nice GPU. And what we've put together is a backend system and this like front end web app that you and I are using right now, where it's
Hmm.
grabbing our webcam feeds, feeding it through our computer vision servers, which are doing like green screen, can do segmentation. We'll probably do like avatar control and stuff later too. That all then gets piped into a render server, which is running a custom plugin that we built that takes in a bunch of different streams, does syncing across them for audio and video, and essentially plays them through Unreal Engine. And yeah, it has like a bunch of different features here. In fact, I'll do one more small thing here, which is I'm gonna do a little screen share of the LightTwist website just to kind of show another little feature we've got hooked up here. Um,
So I know there's a
okay.
little bit of latency. For instance, when I fell into the studio, there was a little
Oh
bit of
yeah.
delay. So what are we looking at as far as our delay here? I'm
Yeah, it's
used to
about
it, but for those who might be a little unfamiliar with that experience, what are we looking at? A couple of seconds, or is that just
yeah, exactly. It's about I think it depending on if you have decent yeah, here we go. Here's that. If you've got good internet, it's about a second and a half to a second or so, like um on the preview here. And so it just depends on a couple different factors. Like part of the reason we do that is also for just ensuring that we're unlike sort of the conditions where you want with WebRTC or with sort of like a Zoom kind of call, we want to preserve the quality of the video and audio as it's coming out, and so ensuring that we're ideally buffering a little bit of data before we start playing.
Mhm.
Um, and there's also some latency actually that we have as part of our computer vision servers, which frankly I think we can improve a lot. So overall, yeah, it's about 2 seconds now. I would say one to 2 seconds, but hoping to get this down to, as low as possible. Like it may not be as low as, for example, like a real time like Zoom call, but the closer we can get to that, then the closer we can get to where this preview, this real time composite that's happening, that's kind of in this preview that both you and I are seeing in the web app. You can use that for essentially instant real time feedback of what's happening in the scene.
I'm looking at it
Yeah,
now, and I agree. Um, maybe do a screen capture of, if you don't mind showing off the
yeah,
entire interface and then sending it to me. But and
yeah,
I'll add it to this. Maybe put it. Maybe I don't know what you can do. Maybe I can superimpose it on the back screen that we have there. But I am
yeah,
looking at the little webcams off to the side, and I do agree that I'm
yeah,
seeing a synced audio with your motion, which is
yeah,
not the case in the rendered scene. So, and as we talked about earlier, maybe making those little screens flexible, movable, so that if you have multiple monitors, you can
yeah.
use that queuing. Right now, I'm having to act, and probably very poorly, on where you're actually at in the studio,
Right.
so that my eye line is hopefully looking at you. But since I can't see myself on where I'm looking at because I'm off at an angle right now on my monitor, even though I brought in another monitor to kind of fake what we're doing right now, I still have
Yeah,
to look off a little bit. So having the ability of having multiple monitors so that you can have eyesight probably adds to the realism. And hopefully what
yeah,
we're doing here is adding to that realism.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, and I think like there's other things that we're brainstorming too. Like we have some ideas and plans around VR support as well. That's another way to essentially achieve like perfect eye contact if we're both
Mhm.
wearing a VR headset. Obviously, we'd have to be avatars in that case, but yeah, like overall, what's cool is like our initial approach is like start with just a browser and webcam, make everything work. If you have a green screen, if you want to sort of include special equipment besides yourself, like you can throw up a $20 cheap green screen. Like the one I've got here is super wrinkly and not super great, but it works. And then and really just like let anyone that just has a browser and webcam start to create shows and different video content that's ideally like letting them achieve a video production level and sort of engagement level that's a little bit higher than that's higher than they can achieve with just whatever their physical studio or space is essentially.
No,
Yeah,
I really applaud that. Don't mean to interrupt you here. As we didn't actually bring it up in the initial interview, but I was using a product called vMix, have been using it for several years, and it has also virtual stages. But one thing that we have talked about, and you kind of alluded to, which is not only do you have virtual sets, but you actually created the set and other things based upon the Unreal Engine. So if you have a little bit of experience in the Unreal Engine, you can create your own sets. Is that what I understood?
that's right. Yeah. So if you wanted to essentially like right now it just there's a plugin that we built. It has a bunch of pre-built sort of Unreal Engine assets that can hook into various parts of like of a a Unreal Engine environment essentially. And so
Mhm.
even if you were just to buy a $20 to $30 asset off the Unreal Engine asset store, you find a cool cyberpunk lab that you're like, I would love to have this be my studio. It takes
Mm.
about 15 to 20 minutes to kind of convert that into a LightTwist studio essentially. So you can drop
Well,
in like, yeah,
well, I'm excited to actually move forward with that. As you know, I've been working
yeah,
on my own VR experience, one based on the moon, the other one based on Mars, called Ingenuity in VR. And if you know what that is, that's a little helicopter, and you essentially can fly the little helicopter like if you were on Earth, but you're actually perseverant. So you have limited motion, just like if you were a little robot. So
that's
it's kind
awesome.
of fun. And I've been working on that for some time. But in doing so, I use photogrammetry techniques. We talked about reality capture previously,
Yeah,
which is also now an Epic Games app that's included with Unreal Engine. You pay basically pennies to do captures. So it's really a great service that they offer. But I
Yeah.
was able to take in a lot of the NASA JPL images and actually create my own terrains based upon images taken by Perseverance. And I don't have anything with me right now, but they look really realistic, and it would be really fun to basically use Perseverance as my desk
Yeah.
and and be able to control the motion of the head while I'm
Yeah.
in my set. So that's my
Yeah.
idea. So as soon as I get on your beta, I love
Yeah.
to
Let's do
try
it.
that myself in a next episode of my own show. But back to vMix having these virtual sets, the key difference, which I think is going to be very important in moving forward with your application, LightTwist, is they're proprietary and they're not easy to change, and you have to buy new virtual sets and they're not cheap. And I recalled another product, maybe you're familiar with it, called the Video Toaster, um, way back when, that also had virtual sets, but they were also proprietary. So I think it's really great that you're offering that capability. And most important, you don't need a lot of hardware to do so.
Yeah.
So obviously, I've been very excited uh, on your progress with this. So I really appreciate us having this interview. And
Yeah. Thanks for joining us here in the LightTwist studio. And I should caveat and say, we're still, we're a small team. We're still pretty early with the product, so lots of work to do. Yeah, we're excited. Like the team's cranking away. We're trying to get to a private beta of the app, hopefully like in the next couple weeks here. Start rolling it out to more people, and certainly like would love to have you be part of that list, Michael. And yeah, it's been fun. Like this whole community of like virtual production and 3D computing. Like as you're aware, is like it's a pretty awesome community to be part of. I think
mhm.
it's like it's just everyone's there's some competition and stuff, but honestly, most people are just kind of even quote unquote competitors. We're all, it's almost like this feeling of we're all in this together, building this cool new future that unlocks creativity, unlocks like the ability to create groundbreaking new video content for just everyday people. And so yeah, just really excited to well, one, be part of your show. Really appreciate you
Mhm.
having me on, and yeah, thanks again for
Well, I
hosting this.
appreciate you having me come onto your own set. Obviously, you've got your own videos, and I plan to put a few of those in earlier. Uh, Actually, I'm talking in past tense. We've already did that yesterday, so
Right,
this is the future. So you'll see already where I actually showed some of your previous YouTube videos, and
awesome.
gosh, it's hard to be in back in time and then forward in
Yeah.
time. I don't know how Doctor Who is able to do that well.
So
But
yeah, let's do like a quick maybe just to kind of outro out of here. I'm gonna make a little outro thing here. Give me like 1 second here, and we'll fly out of here. Just gotta find this here. There we go. All right, and then yeah, can just wave to the camera here in a second. But great to have you, Mike. And
what are we doing? What are
yeah,
you? Hey,
all right.
wait, where are the handles? No, no, wait, 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 hey, huh? Hey, hello, bye.
Flying out
Hey, hey, I hope you pay your camera crew well. Bye.
We pay them
Bye.
we pay them in Bitcoin, so it's gotten low lately.
Bye.